Welcome to another night in the NBA. This is your 10-minute recap of the last night of NBA hoops, and I want to start us off with a rematch of the other night, the Knicks again playing the Sixers, a game where neither team put up 80 points in the first matchup, one of the worst games of the past decade, but this one the Knicks locked in and made sure that wouldn't happen again because New York wins 106-79, nearly a 30-point blowout for New York, and they hold the Sixers under 80 points again. It doesn't matter that Tyrese Maxey is back for Philly as he puts up 17 points on 43% shooting from the field, and the Sixers as a team shoot 37.5% from the field and 24% from three. If it happens once, you say maybe it's an anomaly. If it happens twice, it looks really good for the Knicks defense, and it looks really, really bad for the Sixers offense, especially moving forward when it seems like Joel Embiid is nowhere near a return for Philadelphia. But for New York, this was the return game of OG Anunoby back for the first time after probably at least a month with that elbow injury. But now he was back in this one. He puts up 14 points, was a plus 28. OG Anunoby continues to be a plus-minus monster. The Knicks are just aggressively better when he's on the floor versus when he's off of it. But OG is not actually the main guy I want to talk about. I want to talk about the guy who is the heart and soul of this Knicks team, and that would be Josh Hart, who put up a crazy triple-double in this win. 20 points, 19 rebounds, and 10 assists in 39 minutes of play, shoots 50% from the field, and was a plus 32, best on the team, tied with Dante DiVincenzo. But Josh Hart, once again, is a 6'4" guard, by the way, putting up 19 rebounds, is one of the best rebounding guards the league has ever seen, and he's a monster on defense as well. This dude just does everything for this Knicks team. It's his fourth triple-double of the season. I saw it said this year, so maybe it's even in 2024, but Josh Hart has been super impactful for this Knicks team and just doesn't get the love for how good he's been. Shoots 1 of 6 from 3, is still not a shooter, but that's okay because he hits the tough ones. You see like fadeaway threes, Josh Hart, it looks like it's money every single time. He gets a wide open, uncontested three, it's probably not going in. But that's okay, because Josh Hart does everything the Knicks need, and by his plus-minus, plus 32, you can tell that it doesn't really hurt the team that he's not shooting the ball that well. And to be fair, the Sixers as a team were shooting horrible, so who are they to disrespect Josh Hart? But just super impressive. I don't think he gets enough love for what he does for this team. It reminds me a lot of Marcus Smart with the Celtics over the past few years, where he was the heart and soul of that Celtics team, although he's gone now and they still look pretty good. So maybe that was overstated, but I think Josh Hart's impact is undeniable on this Knicks team, and they just wouldn't be the same group without him. The Knicks also get 20 points and 9 assists from Jalen Brunson, who shoots 58% from the field, is one of the only guys in this game to shoot pretty well. Josh Hart shot 50%, but most of the guys in this game, especially for Philly, shot really poorly. So the Knicks get revenge, take the second one of this baseball series, you could call it, and just look way better than the Sixers do. And it was a dramatic shift from the last game, and that's thanks to Josh Hart's efforts as well as the return of OG Anunoby. And it looks like maybe the Knicks from right after New Year's are back. They're still waiting on Julius Randle, but the rest of the team looking really good. But now, let's move on to some other action from around the NBA. So, in other action around the NBA, we did have 6 other games on the night, 7 in total, including the Knicks game that we just talked about. But let's just go through each of them, try to get an idea of what happened on this night of NBA hoops. We'll start with Pacers versus Thunder, a game in OKC, but Jalen Williams ruled out before the game, and that gave the Pacers an open door, and they went through it because the Pacers take this one in OKC, 121-111. Tyrese Halliburton puts up 18 and 12 on over 50% shooting from the field. They also get 24 from Miles Turner, 18 from Siakam. As a lot of games from the Pacers are, the scoring is relatively well balanced. OKC does get 30 from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but just 15 from Chet Holmgren. Both of their top two guys there shoot below 45% from the field, and for guys that are super efficient like they are, it's hard to win that way because they're winning because of the efficiency. So when the efficiency is gone and one of the top three players is gone, you're probably just not going to win very often. Then we have an upset win, the Grizzlies taking down the Wizards, a game in which the Wizards were favored by a couple of points because no Jaren Jackson Jr., no Desmond Bane, no Vince Williams, no Zaire Williams, just a bunch of guys out for the Grizzlies. But don't worry because Trey Jemison is here to save the day. 24 points, 6 rebounds on 85% shooting from the field. Trey Jemison, super impressive. 19 from Gigi Jackson as well, 16 from Jake LaRavia. A couple of young guys balling out there. Dejan Jarreau, I continue to really like his impact. I talked about him the last time the Grizzlies played in his Grizzlies debut, but now his second game, he has 8 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and was a plus 21. Easily the best on the team, just an impactful winning player. And now with him and Lamar Stevens, they just have two really competitive winning players. The Grizzlies fans, I'm sure, will love to watch. And then for the Wizards, they are led in scoring by Kyle Kuzma with 24, but Jordan Poole puts up 10 points on 36% shooting. The struggles from Jordan Poole continue. Then we go to Rockets versus Spurs. The Rockets' first game without Alperen Şengün, who is going to be out for a few weeks with, I believe they called it a knee sprain. Avoided significant injury, but still going to miss a good amount of time, maybe the rest of the season. 103-101 though, the Rockets do win it without Şengün. 21, 7 and 7 from Fred VanVleet, and about 15 apiece from Jabari Smith Jr. and Jalen Green. The Spurs do get 13, 10 and 6 from Victor Wembanyama, but shoots just 42% from the field. One of the worst Wemby games you're going to see. 24 from Trey Jones on 60% shooting, but the Rockets do win it by 2 despite a late Spurs comeback. The Celtics take down the Jazz 123-107 despite missing 3 of their top 6 players. No Kristaps Porzingis, no Jaylen Brown, and no Al Horford in this one for Boston, but they beat Utah in Utah anyway. 38 points from Jason Tatum, 24 from Derek White. They get 16 from Jrue Holiday, 14 from Sam Hauser. And then for Utah, it's the rookie looking good again, Keontae George. 26 points on 53% shooting, as well as 6 assists. It looks like they may have their guard of the future. Keontae George has looked really good over the past month. Again, if you haven't seen Keontae, try to find a time to do so. The Kings run away with it in Sacramento against the Bucks, 129-94, thanks to good games from both Sabonis and Fox. 29 from Fox, 22, 11 and 8 from Sabonis on 71% shooting, as well as 25 from Malik Monk. So it was really their big three there. And then for the Bucks, they get 30 from Giannis, but Dame puts up just 10 points on 17% shooting. After the Bucks had looked like they were turning it around after the deadline, they have now won just 1 out of their last 4 games, have lost 3 out of 4, including getting blown out by the Warriors, losing to the Lakers without LeBron? They were missing at least one of their 2 main guys, and then they beat the Clippers, but no Kawhi or Paul George in that one, and they still had to gut it out by 7, and then they get blown out by the Kings. So all of a sudden the Bucks have regressed to where they were before the All-Star break and just don't look very good once again. And then in the last game of the night, the Minnesota Timberwolves take down the Clippers 118-100. Kawhi leaves at halftime with, I believe it was a shoulder injury, but leaves with that and did not come back. So just 12 points for Kawhi, 6 minutes played, and he was out because of that injury at the half. And the Timberwolves came back because the Clippers were up at halftime, I believe, but the Timberwolves come all the way back. Actually, I do know. I saw something that the Timberwolves were down 22 points and come all the way back to win by 18. So a 40-point swing over that stretch for the Timberwolves. And they get a good game from Anthony Edwards, 37 points, as well as 28 points from Nickeil Alexander-Walker on 90% shooting. So really impressive game from Naw. But the Timberwolves get the win over the Clippers. The Clippers are really struggling as of late. So are the Timberwolves, but they win this one. So the Clippers stay, I believe, below the Timberwolves in the standings for now. Timberwolves 3 and the Clippers at 4. But that'll do it for this night in the NBA. Another night in the NBA. Now let's get into the next segment. This is the Moneyline Hotline, the place that keeps your bets from going cold. Unfortunately, we did not hit the best bet of the day yesterday. J-Dub was out, so I told you to take the Bucks, but the Bucks, unfortunately, are falling apart. The model was correct in predicting 5 out of the 7 games. It did not correctly predict the Thunder or the Bucks, so those options were not the move. But the Celtics minus 270 wasn't too bad if you wanted to take that. You could have got the Knicks at minus 225 and rode to an easy win, or you could have gotten the underdog pick, which did hit yesterday. Grizzlies plus 1.9 over the Wizards, and they win it. Turn your $10 into 22, a nice solid underdog hit thanks to Trey Jemison, Gigi Jackson, and Dejan Jarreau. The Grizzlies get the win over the Wizards, but the underdog hits, solid pick, and underdogs for the model are now hitting over 61% in about a month and a half of data. It's a pretty decent sized sample, and the underdogs are doing very well. Now let's get into the best bet of the day for today. It is the Nuggets minus 154 versus the Heat. Turn your $10 to $16.49. You could turn 25 to about 41, but the Nuggets have owned the Miami Heat. It's just not a good matchup for them. Just like they did in the finals, they're going to cruise through this one, get the easy victory. All of the Nuggets players are projected to play. No Kevin Love, no Tyler Hero, no Josh Richardson still for Miami. And because of that, Denver should easily win this one. They were down at the half in their last game, and I don't think they want it to happen again. So I think this is going to be an early statement from the Nuggets and pretty solid odds that you could get it at. Then we move to the model predictions for today, March 13th. Like I said, Nuggets over Heat is the best bet of the day, plus 5.9, and that is a clear favorite. It is not a flip game or a standard game. It is a clear favorite according to the model, which are hitting at about 85%. So really strong chance we get this one. And turn your $10 to $16.49. The underdogs, the Grizzlies, are favored once again, this time versus the Hornets. The Hornets have been awful since the All-Star break. They looked pretty good post-trade deadline, but that has worn off quickly, and they were just losing games left and right. I believe they beat the Wizards. It was either the Wizards or the Pistons. No, the Pistons beat them. They beat the Wizards, but still, I'm not sure that inspires a ton of confidence for their team as a whole. Yes, it is the second night of a back-to-back, but this is not even a flip game. This is just a standard prediction here. Grizzlies over the Hornets at plus 106. And then the parlay for the day, a relatively safe one. Nuggets, Mavs, and Pelicans to win, plus 202. I can pull up their opponents for you because I don't want to just give you the names and not have who they're playing. The Mavs are playing the Warriors, no Steph Curry, and the Pelicans are playing... Let me find it. The Pelicans are playing the Cavs. Still no Max Drew, still no Evan Mobley. Donovan Mitchell is questionable, but all the Pelicans guys are healthy, and it's in New Orleans. So plus 202, turn your $10 to $30.20. But now let's move into the top 5 players of the day, according to me. It is Josh Hart coming in at number 1 with the massive triple-double, 20 points, 19 rebounds, 10 assists, in a giant plus 32. Domantas Sabonis comes in at number 2, continues his fantastic season. 22 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, and 71% from the field. Efficient, doing everything. Nickeil Alexander-Walker for me comes in at number 3 because of the efficiency. 28 points on 90% shooting. Just super impressive scoring night for Alexander Walker, the cousin of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Then we have Anthony Edwards at number 4, 37 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and a plus 22, which I believe was the best for Minnesota. Then you have Trey Jemison rounding out the top 5 for me. I could have went Tatum, who had 38 points himself, but Tatum gets in the top 5 a lot. I want to give a shout out to a guy who probably won't get here super often and led his team to a surprising victory. I did predict it, but a surprising victory over the Wizards in their last game. But 24 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 85% from the field for Trey Jemison has just been much better than people could have predicted, and it feels like they got a steal with Trey, and the Grizzlies just keep on doing this. Gigi Jackson in the second round, they just pick up Trey Jemison, he starts balling. Dejan Jarreau doing the same thing. Anyone that goes to the Grizzlies, it feels like it's just a gold mine for finding players that you wouldn't be able to find. One of the best scouting and player development teams in the league right now. But now, that's the top 5. Let's get into the play of the day, which is this one. Yes, it happened in garbage time, but it's this put-back dunk from Andre Jackson Jr. It looked like his chest was at the rim. He was flying so high, but that'll do it for this segment. But now let's move into the viewer-submitted questions. For the viewer submitted questions, I put up a community post every night after the games asking you guys for your questions and what you want to see answered on the show here, and you can also just put them in the comments of this video. I'll get them, don't worry about it. But we have one question on the day coming from Wow Very Crazy, who asked, will Boston flame out in the playoffs? And to be fair, it seems like a fair question, right? They've done it a couple times in the past, including a couple of losses to Miami, where you just don't think they should lose to them. And it feels like Miami is a just kind of dangerous, scary opponent for Boston because they haven't been able to overcome it. But no, I don't think Boston will flame out in the playoffs. Flame out feels unfair. If they run into the Nuggets in the finals and they lose, I don't think that's like flaming out, right? But if they lose in the Eastern Conference, they don't get to the finals, you could call it that. That's completely fair. But I just think they're so much deeper and better offensively than they've been in the past that makes it harder to happen. Because last year we saw Derek White step up as a third option for Boston and really impress in a couple of their games. But now you have Tatum and Brown as your top 2 who continue to get better. But even if both those guys are off, you have Derek White as your third option, maybe even your fourth. Kristaps Porzingis is a very talented offensive player. Drew Holiday is like your 5th offensive option, and then even guys off the bench like Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser is so much better than last year, and he can get hot on any given night. We've seen him go over double digits a couple straight games when they've been missing players, 22 and then 14, as well as having a guy like Ashe Brissett I really like as a guy who can come in and play key minutes. Xavier Tillman, it's a deep team, it's a very talented team, and I just think it'll be hard for them to kind of come up short and just not be able to make anything like they have in the past. You just have so many fail-safes that it makes it almost impossible, it feels like, to just have a complete stinker of an offensive game. But it'll be really tough for Boston to do that. And they also just won't let up a ton of offense either because their defense is elite. Derek White and Drew Holiday is probably the best defensive backcourt in the league. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are both likely playing the best defensive years of their career. And Kristaps Porzingis is a very solid rim protector, as well as having Al Horford, who may not move all that fast anymore, but still is a big body who you can throw on other teams like centers and power forwards, and he'll do an adequate job. So I just don't think Boston has like glaring weaknesses that you can pick out or things that will really hurt them when you come playoff time. So to me, Boston will not flame out in the playoffs. That could come back to bite me, but I just don't think they will. But let me know your thoughts. That's going to be it for me today. So if you enjoy the daily recaps, think about sticking around watching a few more of them. I love making them. Hopefully you love watching them. My favorite form of content easily is doing these daily recaps rather than just the talking about a single player with highlights in the background. But let me know your thoughts. Think about subscribing. I'm on the road to 13,000 subscribers. But again, hopefully you enjoy the content. But that'll be it for me. So have a good one, guys. Peace.